Welcome back to the Group Practice Accelerator podcast, brought to you by Polaris Healthcare Partners, where we leverage decades of healthcare and business experience to drive growth in successful group practices just like yours. If you're a healthcare entrepreneur and you're interested in building, scaling, or exiting your group practice, you've found not only the industry's leading resource for business education, but a team of trusted advisors dedicated to helping you achieve and exceed your goals. In short, the team at Polaris creates clarity, confidence, and results. I'm your host, Jamie Falash, and the Group Practice Accelerator podcast is on the air. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in today because I've got a special guest joining me behind the mic, a group practice owner, and we're going to be talking about his journey because our audience does ask to hear about the experiences, the paths, and even the struggles of their peers. And we have a great platform here to share it on. And we also understand that when you're creating your vision for the future, when you're building, there are a lot of uncertain times. And these stories that we get to share with you on this show help all of us because we know that they're relatable. And it helps you understand that you're not doing this alone. Somebody's always been there before. They've been through it, and that you do have a lot of support to lean on. And all that said, we're also going to be talking about something I feel as a former clinician that we don't talk about often enough, and that's access to care. And today that conversation takes the shape of sedation dentistry. And it's just a much needed part of our field that can really open doors for those who otherwise might not be able to receive the care that they really need. So without further delay, I'd like to welcome Dr. Vince Monticciolo, owner of Monticciolo Family and Sedation Dentistry, a 12-location, almost 13, group practice. In fact, Florida's largest IV sedation dental group located in the Tampa Bay area. Vince, welcome to the show.
Yes, how are you? Thank you.
You're knocking on the door 13 here in the spring, is that correct?
Should be, yeah. The building's been bought, the plans are done. There's always complications, there's always delays, but yes, we're moving forward.
Yeah, delays are just, we bank on those things and we account for them, right? Well, great. Congratulations early on your 13th location. That's pretty exciting.
Yes, the new place is going to be different than our typical dental office. It's actually just going to be a sedation surgical center. So we are bringing in a dental anesthesiologist to complement our moderate sedation IV, and we have all the specialists. So we will be seeing them from crib to grave.
Okay.
From kids to dementia, Alzheimer's, and everything in between.
And that's something I want to know more about. I would like to hear about the market that you serve, the demographic that you serve, because I know that it is really an underserved population. So before we get into that, I'm going to have you go way back and tell me, how'd you land where you are? What made you decide on dentistry and then sedation dentistry? So I want to hear your story.
Way back is true. I've been practicing a long time.
I'm right there with you.
This is my 35th year, so I'm an old man. Started in Michigan. Went to University of Detroit Dental School. Practiced 7.5 years in Michigan. Had a great practice, biggest practice in town. Single, living on the water. And then I met my wife. A year later, I'm in Florida. So things change. No, it was a great opportunity. My wife at the time was in medical school, and she got into a dermatology residency program in Florida. That's what brought us to Tampa Bay. I had to sell out in Michigan, come down to Florida, retake the boards at that point. Back then, there was no reciprocity, so start over. And I bought a small practice, built that up very large, and then transitioned out of that and started where we're at now, Monticciolo Family and Sedation Dentistry. So I only do sedation every day. So I'd love it if I wasn't doing that. If it wasn't my passion, I'd definitely be retired. But I have expensive daughters, one that just graduated dental school and is in a residency, and the other one that's in dental school. So I'm holding out, continuing to practice till they get done, and hopefully someday they'll come help Dad.
I'm sure that, you must be very proud having a couple in dental school like that. That's exciting.
Yeah, thank God, they're good students, take after their mother. So one is in a dental residency in New York doing dental anesthesiology, which is great for us. And the other one is in Arizona in dental school, second year. So She's doing the second year tiers every other day clinic lab. So we'll get her through. She's a good student also, thank God. And hopefully she'll specialize also.
That's wonderful. It sounds like you made a great move there with your wife down to Florida. And hey, that's not a bad place to be, right? So,
Yeah, I mean,
can't argue.
the quality of life is great. Tampa's booming. We're happy to be here. The area of Florida is continuing to grow. So, as you know, every DSO is here in Florida.
Yes.
And the largest ones, Heartland owns more offices in Florida than any other states. There's a reason every DSO is here, and that's just mostly because there is growth. There's in some areas an elderly population, but that's changing. We really don't see the ups and downs of the snowbirds anymore. It's just busy all the time, which is good. So we're happy to be here. We're expanding slowly, though. We're not like other groups, going out and buying 20 offices and expanding and utilizing equity money. We're not doing that. We've used bank money over the years, but as of right now, we're proud to say that we are completely debt free. So there's not many small
Wow.
DSOs that can be debt free. So yes, we're
Right. So let's talk about that for a second before we get back to sedation dentistry, which I want to focus on here in a little bit. And I also want to call out that you've got a podcast on this as well. So let's make sure we'll get that to our listeners at the very end. So let's go back to when you initially wanted to expand. So you've got your first location. Now what?
Yeah, so we had our first location when I came to Florida. It's 1,400 square feet. We ended up expanding that 4 times, owning the whole block. Yeah, it was crazy. We always had our charity events, so we kept growing. And at one point, we had 42 full-time employees in one office. So just the parking became an issue just for everybody and
Yeah.
all the patients we were seeing. That was back in 2007, 8. We ended up transitioning out of that practice. Somebody wanted it. I was supposed to work for them for 3 years, stayed 9 months, bought my way out and bought a small practice in Tampa. So I was retired for about 6 days and started that practice. And then I built a 6,500 square foot practice, 16 ops, full labs, everything with no patients, ground up. So
Wow, your first de novo. I love it.
that was our first de novo, huge. We were, fortunate. We did 3 million our first year, and
Wow.
so that practice has expanded a couple times, and that's kind of what took off where we're at now. At that point we had sedation, and so that has really helped the practice. That's our niche. In Florida, it's more difficult to get your sedation permit, to get your facility sedation certified, which is great. I mean, I think it should be restrictive to just those that do the proper CE and do the proper safety issues. We've been able to expand from there and kind of form a radius around Tampa Bay. And now we've expanded north, south, east. And like I said, we're getting ready to build a surgical center, which will be just moderate IV up front and 4 surgical suites in the back. So we can do dental anesthesiology every day, intubating. So right now we don't see children. So we get calls every day. Do you do kids? And we really don't, even though I'm permitted to do it. I really find that we should have a dental anesthesiologist. So we will be doing that soon by next year, and that'll expand out everything that we do. So right now I do bring a dental anesthesiologist into our practice a couple days a month to do the more medically riskier cases, a lot of our special needs that can't be handled with moderate or are riskier. We need the anesthesiologist for that. So we do bring one in now, and that's going to get expanded as we bring in, children, things of that sort. So we're looking forward to that. The demand is here. So it's just a matter of getting it built and bringing in the right people. So we have all the specialists. So on staff, we have an oral surgeon, 3 endodontists, periodontists, and soon to be, we just signed an LOI. We're purchasing a pediatric ortho practice, not really for our group, but really for the pediatrics to support the surgical center. So that practice does bring in a medical anesthesiologist. So eventually that'll get sent over to the surgical center. So we want to be prepared with the pediatric dentist. And we have another one that's signed for when we open the new center. So yeah, we're gearing up for it.
That sounds like it. More congratulations in order, and what a great resource for that area of the country as well.
Yeah. So especially after COVID, after we had some hurricanes here, first time in 100 years here in Tampa last year.
Yeah.
Anxiety is even higher. So we treat mostly dental phobics, needle phobics, gaggers, special needs of all sorts, Alzheimer, dementia, limited opening, transplant patients, allergic to anesthetics, anything that really can't be handled in a typical dental office. Those are
Mhm.
the ones that get referred to us. And
Okay.
once they're sedated and they've gone through that experience, they become missionaries. They won't go anywhere else. They just come in for the nap, I think, and get their treatment done. So it is a great experience. They're able to get, almost all their work done in one sitting because we have all the specialty care there too. And it saves them money. So if they
Yeah.
can be sedated, we had a young girl today, had her wisdom teeth out, had 3 root canals. I did 10 fillings for posts and crowns and a deep cleaning, and all that was completed in about 4.5 hours. So we'll see her in 2 weeks, seat the crowns, and she's done.
That's
You know,
some efficient work. That's a lot for 4.5 hours, but look at what you can do when you have a completely cooperative patient.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Amazing.
it. And you got the specialists on hand. If I had to
Yeah.
do those molar root canals, I'd still be there. But with an endodontist, yeah, they're great. It's a higher standard of care.
Yeah.
We have the endoscope in the office and the oral surgeon, they whip out wisdom teeth in minutes. So,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
you're in and out with that. That's one thing
yeah,
that a
it's
lot of
great.
people don't think about is, yes, we think about the phobics, the gaggers, that kind of thing, but then you start looking at dementia, Alzheimer's, people with physical limitations, people with really high anxiety, and these are the people that often miss out on care completely, sadly.
Lots of times the cases are usually larger because by the time they get to us, they've been
Yeah.
avoiding the dentist. They're either in pain, infection, or they're losing a front tooth or something, and they have to come. It just comes to the point where they have no other choice, and then they come, and at that point, we're able to clean them up, do what's necessary, and we have, like I said, the specialty care there to do at a higher standard of care, which is great, and still be sedated. So it's hard. I mean, they can go get sedated in an oral surgeon's office and have a tooth extractor or an implant placed, but they can't get the crowns and the root canals and everything else at the same
Mhm.
time. So we offer that service, which has really been a boom for our practice.
And I think that's what's often overlooked too is that efficiency factor because we might be considering the access to care part of it and everyone that could fall into that. But look at what that does for efficiency. Look at all those procedures that were completed in a half a day.
Yeah, it is extremely efficient for the patient, for us also when they're sedated. We can actually take our time and do an excellent job especially when we're doing surgery. We did a couple extract and delivers today with implants for snap-on dentures. We can
Mhm.
take our time, do the alveoloplasty, clean it all up, make it nice and smooth, suture nicely,
Yeah.
and patient's not moving, they don't feel it. It's just great. So if they were awake for that procedure, they would be feeling all the pressure, hearing all the noises, and blood pressure going through the roof. So that can all be controlled really nicely for the patient's comfort. Plus, in the IV, we can place something, for swelling, something for nausea, something for discomfort. That's all on board. So makes it a lot more comfortable for the patient after treatment also.
I can really see why this is a passion of yours and why you went down this path and something when I started back in dental 32 years ago, it wasn't even something I considered. I didn't even realize that that type of practice was out there, and maybe it wasn't as prevalent then. But let's maybe talk about some demand in the market. There can
Yeah,
be a lot of locations like yours.
Yeah, the good thing about our practices is we can pretty much open up where we want to. People are saying, "Oh, why did you open right across the street from this DSO or next to the?" I mean, literally, one of our practices has 3 DSOs. I could throw a rock and hit them. I'm like, we do different things. It
It's
doesn't
not the
matter.
same.
It
Yeah,
it it
that's
doesn't matter. Our niche, they end up having to refer to us, and,
yeah.
there's plenty there for everybody, and, we're really happy with the position that we have in the market, and, our biggest issue, and the reason that I did have to do that podcast is really to get the word out there because we have people traveling from far away. And I'm like, you passed 1,000 offices to get here. How did you even hear about us? And they said, oh, on a Facebook group
Yeah.
autism Facebook group. We heard about you. We were going to take our daughter to Georgia because we couldn't find a dentist that would treat her, and she was all swollen. And I'm like, you passed 3 of my offices to get to this one. And they said,
Yeah.
yeah, but you didn't have an opening. So we had to get her here. And it's crazy. I mean, I have all the respect in the world. Some of these families, that's 24/7 when they handle some of these patients in the home. I mean, they're really loving these kids, and they really need to be served. It's just the most gratifying part of my practice. It's not the most lucrative, I'll tell you that, dealing with some of these patient groups. But
Mhm.
the hugs
Yeah.
and the thank yous and the pictures I get with some of these kids are just great, and they become part of the family. We see them, twice a year for many years, and we see the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
family, and they drive far distances to come see us. And it is very gratifying. That's the best part of the practice, and to serve a lot of these patients. So a lot of them, because of Florida, they move away and they'll fly back, and I'm like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, we come in early in the week. We do the pre-op. We'll see you. We hang out with friends, and then we go home." And I'm like, "All right, we'll do what you need." But
That kind of feedback would make me feel just so grateful that
they just
I have this
trust it
opportunity. Yeah.
because of the experience. They don't, because of the medications, they don't have any recollection of the appointment, which makes
Perfect.
all their fear go away. And you can see that in the chart notes, how we give less and less meds every time we see them because their anxiety, everything is
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's easy for them. They know what to expect. So that becomes a great experience for our patients and for our practice. So we're just trying to, kind of spread this across the state is the goal. So now I'm focusing more on these surgical centers to be able to see this subset of our practice because it is the fastest growing portion of our practice, and it's limited by the amount of locations that we have, and it's limited because other offices aren't going to spend the money to do the training, get the certification, buy all the emergency drugs, all the equipment. There is a lot to it.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the equipment just for the surgical center is quite a lot to buy. All those anesthetic machines are, crazy.
Yeah, I'll bet it's a whole different level of, de novo build when you're looking at that, and,
It
I mean,
it
I'm
is.
I'm grateful that you're expanding. I'm so thankful for the families that need you because it breaks my heart that people are forced to go looking for this kind of care, and it's just not as available as it should be.
That is true. So, and some states have better access. I can tell you in Florida, there we don't accept Medicaid, but for children, Medicaid has covered some services. So
Mhm.
there are dentists that accept that, and some pediatric dentists that do sedation, but once they hit 18, no, there is no coverage out there. Medicaid in Florida is
Mm.
is nonsense.
Yeah. We're kinda talking about expanding, how that experience has been for you and the populations that you're serving. Well, let's talk about some challenges you had with that scale because it can't all have been like, "Oh, this is fabulous. It's so easy. Let's do it."
It has never been easy, and I'm sure any entrepreneur can tell you that we have faced every failure and we've stumbled across the way numerous times. But that's part of growing. If you're not pushing yourself, if you're not failing, then you're definitely not growing. So it's been a journey, as anybody will tell you.
Yeah.
I've had to change things. Initially, I think I was at 4 offices when I started with Polaris
Yeah.
group, but I think I know I was one of their first clients, and I've been an ongoing client ever since. So I've needed them at every step. So you just don't know what you don't know, and I always like to have the smartest guys in the room on my team is what I like to say. So that's what I strive to do, both with the group, with my accountant, with my attorneys. As we're growing, we definitely want the smartest guys on our teams. When I got to about 4 offices, I was doing everything.
Oh, wow.
HR, payroll, accounting, advertising, handling everything. And that's what gets you burned out.
Yes.
And, my wife's a dermatologist. Her office was next to one of mine, and handling her management also. She's a great
That's
doc, but she likes to concentrate on the clinical. So yeah, at that point, we had to make a lot of decisions, and that's when Polaris came on board, which was a perfect time for us. So I mean, the biggest decision was I either had to step back and actually become the CEO
Hmm.
and step out of the chair, or continue to practice and bring somebody in to do, the day to day. So I enjoy dentistry. I really enjoy the sedation part of it. So I did. And DeWalker helped us do the recruiting to bring in a director of operations.
Wonderful.
So we did recruit. And at that point, we also had to build a support center. I did own some buildings behind one of my practices that we were leasing out. And as those businesses lease ran out, we took over those spaces. So we originally started with the director of operations, accounting, and I think HR. And now we've expanded it twice. We've taken over all three suites. And, now we have a full call center, full revenue cycle team, director of operations, HR, recruiting, procurement, advertising, IT, maintenance. I'm missing something else. But yeah, I mean, everything's there. So we have 30 people in the support center that are there just to support our offices on a day-to-day basis. And I continue to practice. I've cut back from 5 days to 4 days.
But you're still there. You're still very passionate about this, but it's also so critical that you know your limitations. You can't continue to run everything. The wheels are going to fall off
No,
that bus.
yeah. And I really think people say, oh, the practice is getting bigger, this and that. I think, for me, bigger is easier because I have people in place that love doing what they do. So
Yeah.
I hate HR, and I have a great HR director that came from a bigger organization. She's excellent. She runs all the benefits. She runs all of that so smoothly. And our director of operations now, we recruited our newest one, we recruited from a larger group in the New York, New Jersey area. And she is great. She's an excellent communicator. She gets out in the offices. She trains the regionals. Gosh, I could never sit in her shoes. So thank God we have them. So, it really is about putting the A players in place. So we're trying to raise the bar now, starting in the sports center with the right management team, which we have, and now in the offices. So I've, they talk the 80-20 rule, and I keep squeezing my 20% of what I am actually responsible for in the business. So I'm the supposed CEO, but really I'm just the visionary. I'm there for the growth. I handle the doctors and sedation. That's all I handle now. So I do talk to the director of operations daily. We text every day of the week. I'm there for the management meetings on Friday mornings, and I do the doctor dinners and things like that. But for the most part, I'm handling the clinical part and the sedation part, and the rest of it is handled by people that do a better job than me. So we've gotten, much bigger to where I couldn't even handle what we have. We've added, so, we have some third party partners also that, do our confirming for insurance and, some of our revenue cycle things. And our call center now, we just upgraded to add AI. So
Oh,
even when we're not
wonderful.
physically answering the phone, it's being answered and AI is taking the message so we don't miss any calls 24/7.
Good.
So we've been keeping our finger on technology and growing hopefully along with the rest of dentistry. So we're trying to take advantage of that. And the bigger we get, obviously, we're able to negotiate better pricing, which helps the bottom line. Uh, we currently have between 140, 150 employees, staff team, which is great. And we own our own porcelain lab, CAD CAM lab. We have all the big machines. Everything's scanned in, and everything's done under microscope. We can control the quality. We can control the speed, obviously, and
Hmm.
we can do custom implant abutments. We can do anything. So the only thing we don't do in-house is we send out the partial frameworks and most of the casting stuff. Just because it's dirty, we have the casting irons. We don't do it anymore. But everything else, yeah, we do in-house. It's
That's
great for
good.
turnaround and it's great for quality control. So um,
Absolutely.
it does help the bottom line too.
Well, and at Polaris, we are big on calling in the experts, and it sounds like you've got a great team.
I have my business degree, but I don't do DSO to the level that Polaris does. So as we've made each step in growth, you kind of need the pros on your sides.
Yeah.
DeWalker's been there when we needed capital to go out into the larger markets. Once you get up to 4 or 5 offices, especially in our case, because I owned all the real estate and we owned all the dental offices, and most of ours are all de novos,
Oh.
which are harder to do for the bank because we have so much technology. Our offices are large. So, the bank doesn't like these big old empty buildings with no incoming cash flow.
Proving
Bank,
that out. Yeah.
yeah, we have a good track record, so
Mhm.
that has been good for us. So we've been able to grow, and we've used Polaris twice to go out there in the capital markets to negotiate our credit facilities and things of that sort, to continue to grow. We've used Polaris to do our doctor equity program. And I also use, DeWalker to do all my management contract as far as set up the contracts for like my director of operation. It's not just about growing because anybody can grow by spending money. It's about, profit and growth, and to set up a bonus structure for them so that we can watch the cost, but yet grow. So we want it to be a win-win. So I do want them to do well. Everybody in our practices, each office, each staff member, they're all on bonus systems month to month. We do have an analytical software that digs deep, and we watch all the numbers. And the staff, we're a total transparent office. So everybody sees the numbers, all the doctors, everything. So they know the growth, and we celebrate those wins. So far, so good. We're going to continue to grow slow. Like I said, we're not a big DSO that's going to buy 10 offices tomorrow. We're going to,
Slow and deliberate.
yeah, yeah, exactly. We know where we're going. Fortunately, we try to keep our focus there. Obviously, there's drama always in dentistry.
Oh, always.
Always, I won't say, I think I have at least 125 ladies working with me. So yeah, and I have all daughters at home. So
You're surrounded by it, Vince. You're
I am surrounded. I'm very fortunate to have any hair left.
Well, it sounds like you're also surrounded by a great support crew across the board, which then allows you to remain the visionary, the CEO of your business. You can play out that vision, that legacy that you have in mind.
That has been, yeah, the blessing. I joked today, I was training, I have a new doctor. They always spend the first week with me learning the systems, not really learning dentistry, just learning our systems, our culture, the flow, everything that we do, how we do it, the paperwork, the computers. And I was introducing her to some of my team. I have a travel team because I move every day, different offices. And I'm joking that, yeah, she's been with me a couple weeks when actually, most of the people on my team have been there over 20 years. So,
Oh, yeah.
and my sedation director, Nora's been with me 23, 24 years. Most of the guys in the denture lab, they've been with me over 20 years, and it shows, but they do a great job. Some of the A+ talent that we have makes my job a lot easier. So I rely on them. I am pretty, with my team at least, I'll tell you, I'm pretty demanding, but I'm very consistent, very disciplined. I do everything exactly the same every day.
Boy,
So
that is
very
really
standardized.
what can fire up your business. It's another miss that we see out there, but standardizing, keeping it the same every single time,
We have
time,
systems in
money,
every office. Every operatory in every office is exactly the same. So every
as it
operatory we
should
have,
be.
I think we have 168 operatories. They're exactly the same. So if somebody calls in sick and we have to send an assistant, we don't lose a beat. They know exactly where everything is. Everything's exactly the same. Systems are the same. So that there's a digital sensor in every op. There's an intraoral camera in every op. Every office has a laser. Every office has a endoscope, which I've never used, but I own a lot of them.
Mhm.
Every office is exactly the same, which makes it very convenient for everybody, for our regionals, for the way we train, for Nancy, who's our director of operations, going around and trying to be consistent with the office managers and with the regionals. It's a set system on a day-to-day basis. So it helps. Is there still cracks in the foundation? Always. We learn something every day, but we're always learning.
But that standardization really ramps up efficiency at the end of the day, even from a gene perspective. From when I was practicing, I practiced at the same location for 20 years, and then I did some temping when my son was little. hopping around from location to location in a different operatory all the time, it slows you down and your productivity just spirals. It's not great. So having that every operatory the same, whether it's hygiene or not, big advocate of that. I can't say enough good things about it. It really just
It helps us.
it does.
Yeah, even when we have acquired practices, we buy them really for location,
Mhm.
and then we have to gut them and usually add equipment and change everything around quickly. Though we tear it out and put it back together.
Well, you've got this dialed in from the sound of it. You know what you need. You can tear it out, start over, duplicate what you've done before.
Yeah,
'Cause
we
done
at
this.
this point I try not to build from scratch anymore. It just takes twice as long, costs twice as much. I prefer to buy a building, tear it out, build it up, and be open in 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
So when I find a building that suits our size,
Mhm.
I usually just send the contractor. I don't even go inside. I send him just to make sure there's nothing obstructive that we can
Yeah.
put a dental office in there, and then I buy the building, and I literally do not go back until a week before we open.
Oh
I do
my
not have to go
gosh.
see it because I have people that handle it. We buy the same thing. Our ops are exactly the same. So they know exactly what we're going to do. The wallpaper's the same, the floor is the same, the chairs are exactly the
So
same.
they just go in and gut everything
They got
and
everything because we
come
got
for a
to
visit before
dental
you're
offices. You got to cut through the floor anyway to put
yeah.
air water suction in.
Yeah.
So, now we're building the surgical center and we have 4 surgical suites that are stressing me because we're changing something.
Uh-oh.
So, and now we have to add, gases and
Uh,
these are a little different. So I have a dental anesthesiologist and some friends that are helping me, design that really. Um, and to put that together. So that's the only thing that's changing in the new place, but the rest will be the same. The flow we are putting into um, 2 sterols, one for the general anesthesia and one for the moderate, just so all the armamentarium doesn't get mixed up. So things will be a little different. We do have a recovery room and we have 2 waiting rooms, one for pediatrics and special needs, and then one for more adults. So other than that, yeah, the operatories will be the same. Thank God.
You've got a great plan in place, and I love this model that you have built out, and not just a model, but it's a legacy, and truly, obviously, it's a passion for you, and I love to see that.
It has been good. We try to partner with the community. We do a lot of community service. We've had our charity for 25 years. We have the Alzheimer's Walk. We're sponsoring it. So we do that every year. We do the Autism Society. All the things that come back to us, we try to sponsor. We have the Veterans Day free dental work, and then we have our
Yeah.
Dentistry from the Heart. We do the candy buyback for the kids at Halloween. We got a big group because we have a large staff that goes out. We have a good time. So we do a lot of social community things that brings our practice together because we are spread out around the Tampa Bay area. So a lot of the offices don't see their friends except when we have the holiday party or the charity events where they get together. So we have a big family picnic though every year, and
Mhm.
that's for the families. It's for everybody. Usually about 300 people with all the families. It's good to see the other halves, see all the babies. We do have a good time. Yeah, yeah. And now we're getting assistants that went back to hygiene school. They're coming back and want to come back and work with us, which
Mhm.
is even better because they were sedation trained. So now I want them on my travel team
I'll
because not
bet.
only can they do hygiene, but they can also do anesthesia for me.
That's
As far as numbing things up, because yeah, they got their permit here.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's it's a bonus, for us. So
Definitely.
it comes full circle. I'm waiting, like I said, my daughters they'll come back to Tampa as part of the deal, to work with Daddy and hopefully someday relieve me a little bit.
You might
So,
get to go 3 days a week then, Vince.
my wife keeps telling me to slow down, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The patients are sleeping. I can kind of get a nap in a little bit too. So it really isn't so bad.
Build in that extra 20-minute nap during the appointment.
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. It's
Yeah.
like you said, if it wasn't for sedation, I probably wouldn't be practicing anymore.
So before I let you go, tell us more about your podcast. In case our audience is unfamiliar, I'm going to make you talk about it. So tell us more. What's it called? What's the aim? Who are you trying to reach?
We are just trying to spread the word. We advertise. We we have a marketing manager, so we do everything everybody does. We send out oversized postcards in a 10-mile radius around every location, every week or every other week. We do the geofencing, we do Facebook ads, we have billboards. With sedation especially, these patients most of the time aren't even going to a dental office. You have to reach out to them because they avoid the dentist. So
Oh,
that's why
yeah.
we have to kind of get our name out there. And so, in the Tampa Bay area, obviously we get referrals for sedation every day. But further out, we see patients from the other side of the state, 2, 3 hours away, all this, and they're only hearing about us from other people or they've called 20 offices and they finally someone refers them to us and says, hey, these guys can do it. You need to call them. So our whole goal with doing a podcast is really just to get the word out there. So it's called Calm in the Chair. We've focused solely so far on our groups. Each week we've done a podcast on dental phobics, needle phobics, PTSD, special needs, gaggers, Alzheimer's, dementia.
I've been
You know,
listening.
yeah, so we've hit all those advantages of a dental anesthesiologist and why we bring them in certain cases. And now we're going to start bringing in guests. We'll bring in actual patients and maybe patient families, to kind of focus on the changes that we've made. It's really just an outreach to get our services out there until we can actually get to their area. Um, I figure I'm good for about 5 more to 10 more years of doing what I'm doing before I'm going to have to slow down. So we're trying to get there before I peter out. So yeah, that's the goal. We've done our vivid vision, which is setting the goals ahead of time and then kind of reverse engineering them back.
Yes, that's
So
the way.
so that's where we're at. Walker knows. He's been a
Yes.
part of that. We did the quality of earnings last year because he's brought a lot of opportunities to us. So it's a good position to be in. We are going to continue to grow slowly with Polaris and DeWalker leading the way. Like I said, we're buying a pediatric group now. So we'll have them look at, I've already done the LOI, but he'll look at the final contracts and make some suggestions and we'll go from there and set up the contracts with the pediatric dentist and the orthodontist in a 3 to 5 year employment agreement to stay on.
Well,
That's
that's
the goal.
great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. We're so grateful for you. Polaris is grateful for you as a client, but we just want to thank you for sharing your story with the audience today. And you have a great story to share. And I love what you're doing, not only for your own community there in Tampa, but how you're raising the bar within the dental community with sedation dentistry. And I hope that your story can inspire some of our listeners to maybe follow suit.
Yeah, Dr. Walker and some of the gentlemen there have sent, I speak to a few of your clients, not as a consultant, just when they have questions or they want to know what the journey entails and whether it's easy or not, which it never is. But I can kind of help, especially some of the younger guys, kind of explain what the steps are. Just, I only know, my journey and, which is kind of a slower journey, but everybody has to have their own goals. It's not just about buying everything up, turning it over and
No,
selling because you won't be happy at the end. I mean, I could sell tomorrow. I did the QB. I know what the practice is worth. I could sell on Monday, but I wouldn't know what to do on Tuesday.
exactly.
I don't golf, but, yeah, I enjoy what I do. And I can tell you, you might know this, Jamie, but, because you guys are healthcare, I've utilized your services for my wife also in the dermatology field.
Mhm.
And I mean, I really didn't have to look any farther than to make a text to DeWalker to get that process going. And I know this isn't exactly a commercial for you, but you do need the right people on your team and you can't do it
Ah,
alone.
That's
Um,
that's so true. And you mentioned something earlier, Vince, when you said you don't know what you don't know. And it's interesting. Just last week, I did a podcast with Aiden Bradley, our fractional CEO and strategic consulting executive, on that very topic,
yeah.
where sometimes when you are growing from within and you're deliberate about it, you're still going to have blind spots. So we appreciate that you have called us in as the experts and trusted us with your business. And I'm so excited to have been filled in, not having been with Polaris when you started with them, but learned about your growth, your success, and your passion for all of this.
You really need the professionals, not just with Polaris, but to have the right kind of attorney, that a tax attorney and growth attorney and land attorney that knows what you're doing. It just can't be the local banker. You need to get the pros on your side. So
Yeah,
I
someone that
appreciate,
specializes.
yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you, Jamie, for reaching out. And I'll continue to be, I think, one of the longest standing clients of Polaris as I move forward.
Thank you. We appreciate you. And I know that you don't think your podcast is good, but we like your podcast. So I'd like to link that in our show notes for the audience so that they can share out this resource to people they know as well.
Well, that's great. And I appreciate you guys. And thanks again. The podcast is not very good. Working on hosting, but hopefully it'll get better. Definitely adding guests will get better.
I disagree. I like it as it is, but I'm excited for your guests as well. So thank you for being with us today. We appreciate you. And to our audience, as always, we appreciate you as well. And if you'd like to learn about any of our Polaris advisory services, or maybe there's a topic that we haven't covered that you'd like to hear about, you can send us an email to info@polarishealthcarepartners.com, or you can go to the website and click on that Contact Us button at polarishealthcarepartners.com. Thanks so much for being a loyal listener and subscriber. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a colleague or friend, and leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you on the next episode of the Group Practice Accelerator Podcast.